I did ask around, and I got the answer no.
Okay.
I mean, we kind of went back and forth in time with the information we had, and
Right.
puzzled what we could as we did it. So it kind of just all over the place as we, hit a dead end. We go somewhere else.
Well, here's the eerie part about the story pertaining to the military records is he was on leave when David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were unalived on December 20th, 1968. He had an 11-day leave, which is not enough time to go back to Ohio to visit the family. I also checked newspapers.com, and his mother has no mention of him visiting. So from a timeline perspective, we know he's not deployed quite yet, but he's within the area or the vicinity. We found another cold case in Los Angeles that is December 29th, 1968, which would have been the Sunday after he was to return from leave on Friday. We know that he took his 5 kids, down to Disneyland for Christmas break. So my theory is that if it is plausible that he is guilty for Faraday and Jensen, that he did it when he had 3 days to get ready for vacation and then his upcoming USS Enterprise deployment on January 6, 1969. But then that unaliving happened at Lake Herman Road. He's familiar with it because he's a fisherman. And of course, it's a Navy spot by Vallejo, by Mare Island. But then packed his kids up in his station wagon and took off to Disneyland to visit family for the rest of his leave. Stayed the weekend and then was, able to come back to report back that following December 30th or maybe December 31st, July 1st, July 2nd. And then 5 days later, he leaves NAS Alameda on the Enterprise, and then the fire happens on the 14th.
The whole time he's on leave, is the Enterprise docked?
Yeah.
And the whole crew is basically on leave at that point?
That we can find, yes.
How long was the leave?
11 days.
Okay.
And then he goes to the fire happens. It's docked in Hawaii for like 3 months. They repair it. They get back to Vietnam to finish the tour. They get back to NAS Alameda on July 2nd of 1969, and then we have Farron and Majot attacked on July 4th, 2 days after the Enterprise docks on NAS Alameda. And then, of course, because of the fire, the USS Enterprise is taken out of service for refueling and repairs. Mr. Hill is landlocked, and then you see the Zodiac activity continue and increase from the letters, from, the threats, from further unaliving.
How long was the ship set for rehab, for the repairs?
18 months.
So where's he during that 18 months? Is he still assigned to the ship?
Landlocked. He got back July 2nd, 1969, doesn't wait 2 days, and unalived Darlene Farron.
So he was a member of the VAQ-132 Scorpions. It's an electronic warfare squadron, an attack electronic. They basically jam the electronics. But regardless, right, that happens. So on July 31st, he has a physical. This is in his military records in San Francisco, which is the same day that a letter is written claiming both the Lake Herman Road and the Blue Rock Springs unalivings. But he follows up, 4 days later, August 4th, with the debut letter saying, "This is the Zodiac speaking." And we think he steals that from, this is the captain speaking, from being on a ship. All of his decisions are kind of around his occupation when you look at, who he was and what would influence him. So on August 4th is his day of discharge. So we know he's in San Francisco when those 3 letters were sent to the newspapers with the 408 cipher, right? All 3 pieces. And then on August 5th, he re-enlists, and he is stationed at NAS Alameda. He is not discharged into the ocean anymore. He is there on land until at least the end of 1970, early 71, with the exception of March. The mid-March of 71, we think he came back to the Dublin area, Pleasanton, for training because he had gotten transferred back to Texas for a training squadron, VT-24, and he had to be retrained to maintain 2 new training planes. And all those planes and all that education was still in California.
So we had to be back.
Right.
And my mom actually went to school and lived at Komodorski Village in Dublin, a lot, as well as a temporary housing.
Yeah.
And this I want to show you. This is from 1969 California. Okay, I believe that's what it's from. He's wearing the same green shirt and brown pants and the Zodiac watch. Okay. This is the same description they had given of the guy that unalived Paul Stein. Green shirt, brown pants. And then that's where we believe that sketch came from.
And you might want to go next to the Halloween card.
That's where that face came from.
Mm-hmm.
I will go find the Halloween card. So, I was talking, this is my recent side-by-side, and I just want to get to it. 1970, moving forward, after the USS Enterprise ship happens, 1970, the Zodiac sends in a Halloween card, and I'm sure you guys, if you're aware of it, let me find it in here. It's definitely probably really far on this screen because we do cover it a lot, but I usually do it off my phone. Okay, here we go. Where is it? Okay, so this is kind of where I put everything together, okay, for you guys. All right? All right, well, anyways, so here's the Halloween card here. Next to this pumpkin, it says, I feel it in my bones, you ache to know my name, so I'll clue you in, okay? That pumpkin was cut out from another card and placed on the groin area. Now it says, I feel it in my bones, you ache to know my name. Well, in the hand, it's got an OK sign like this, with the number 14, which we believe is I'm okay, January 14th, okay? His right arm is an L, the left arm is a D, you have LD. I'm trying to get this a little further up. There we go. Okay? You got L and you got D. You remove the pumpkin, you got H. LDH. They called him LD in the Navy. My grandfather's name's Loring Dale Hill. I feel it in my bones, you ache to know my name. Now, we talked about the fire on the Enterprise. Now, if you go to YT and type in that fire, that actually Navy calls it trial by fire, which we believe is attributed to the Zodiac putting by fire. 314 men got injured that day, and 28 men died by fire. We take 28 plus 9 equals 37. There's your victim count for Zodiac 6869. And that's not including the rest of his activity. You know what I mean? Nobody would know he's the Zodiac if he didn't call and claim it and send you a letter. You know what I'm saying? We know that because he allowed people to know who he was. Now, as my wife was saying, in his military records, he asked for onshore duty multiple times before that explosion, and the same dates he re-enlists are the same dates as these letters go out. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Here's another scary thing. I mean, and this chills me to my bones, okay, about Snoozy and Furlong, right? And we all know that Carl Warner was convicted of Snoozy and Furlong and Billick from 1971. But Snoozy, just to kind of remind everybody, Snoozy and Furlong was unalived on January 3rd of 1969 in San Jose, in a little picnic hill area called Cardboard Hill. And brutally unalived. Okay? He was in San Francisco when that crime happened, because I can put him there with his, it was right in between when he discharged and then when he had his funeral and then when he discharged and re-enlisted. So he was there that weekend. I feel like he did that allegedly. I allege he was actually guilty of that, and Carl Warner is innocent. And I think if the Innocence Project took up this case, they could probably prove he's innocent. When I look at kind of how his conviction or his confession came out, he's an 18-year-old kid, socially awkward, highly intelligent. I think he thought he was helping law enforcement versus incriminating himself. This was right after Miranda, where there's just a lot of kinks to work out in the criminal justice system still. So with that being said, Snoozy and Furlong happens on the 3rd. He discharges on the 4th. He re-enlists on the 5th. And when military personnel re-enlists, they get 30 days leave. He then puts his family in the tan station wagon, and they're off to Ohio for the whole month of August. And you don't hear one peep from the Zodiac. Not one. Not one letter. Nothing. Okay? He comes back September 5th to report for duty. And then you have Lake Berryessa 2 weeks later on September 27th, 1969. And then Paul Stein quickly after that, October 11th. Then 3 days later, he writes the letter to claim Paul Stein. And it goes on and on and on until the end of, through the end of 69. And in 1970, he just rampaged with the letters, doesn't stop. And he's there. In the area.
Yeah, so we got some.
So let me back up a minute. There's 5 siblings.
He has 5 children. The LD Hill, so this would be J. Crime's aunts and uncles, his mother's siblings.
Yeah, and as I was showing Jamie, as he was in my live, that kind of blew his mind. As I was I found not so much a filter, I guess you'd say. It just puts my face behind his face, and I look just like the Zodiac, because I look just like my grandfather. So if you wanted to see what the Zodiac looked like, you're looking at it.
But even apart from that, there's other clues that tie him to the case. So like, Kathleen Johns, it's disputed whether she is a Zodiac victim or not, whether it fits a narrative of a particular suspect or whether it doesn't. She was like terrified. She saw that wanted poster outside Modesto when she finally made it to the police station, and she said that's the Zodiac, that's the guy. She didn't know who he was before. She said, but that's the guy that abducted me. And she was abducted, if you read the police reports, in a tan station wagon, fitting the description of the station wagon Lauren had, LD had, and she describes the inside of it with kids' toys and clothes, same exact ages as J. Crime's mother's younger siblings, the 3 younger siblings from his second wife. Same ages. So books and toys in this station wagon that fit the description. And then fast forward to the East Coast of 1979. We've got a case, I think her name is Tammy Jo Anderson.
Voices for Victims brought this to our attention.
Voices for Victims on this case. She was from Florida. She disappeared April of 79, was found in November of 79, 6 months later, in Rochester, New York. And she was last seen with a man fitting the sketch or the description of LD, but just with a little bit longer hair, in a tan station wagon, at a diner, very similar to like a diner that, Darlene Farron would have worked at. And finally, when they did recover her body, they found remnants of pollen near her body that are only unique to Northern California, so San Francisco, the Sierra Nevada, so we're talking Reno, Lake Tahoe, also Southern Texas, which is where where he was transferred in Southern Texas, and then parts of Mexico and New Mexico. Now, law enforcement kind of theorizes, well, maybe she was a vagrant and she was traveling to the West Coast. But my theory is perhaps if it's LD, that she was in this station wagon, which he kept his cars for years because he was a mechanic, and perhaps picked up pollen from all of their road trips from the station wagon. So we also can corroborate that with the family story that he had taken his wife from Ohio after the blizzard of 79, which was early, to Niagara Falls, which they have to drive up across.
They drove around the blizzard.
Well, it was right after the blizzard. There was still snow on the ground, but it was safe enough to finally drive. It was early spring, mid-spring. But they had to drive along Erie Lake. And then they took a turn down central New York, which would have been right through Rochester, went all the way to D.C., and then made a circle back west all the way through West Virginia back up to central Ohio. So that's corroborated with the time that Mrs. Anderson went missing.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on, guys. Like with this,
This is one example of many cold cases where we have made some connections.
Yeah, between Rick McBain, that's in your chat there. He's a Navy veteran of 20 years. He's been working on this case with us for 2 years. Make sure you guys give him a follow. And Voices for Victims, make sure you give her a follow. They're the reason why we made it this far. Thank you.
How many times was he married? Just twice?
Just twice, yeah.
And out of the 2 marriages, what, 5 kids total?
I think more than that, he just lost a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jay, are you able to do that mask that you do?
Oh, definitely. You want to go ahead and just hand me that?
Sure.
This blows my mind.
Plugged in with the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Sorry, guys.
And Jay, I don't know if you can still hear. I paused. Stand by.
I'm a lousy producer.
Hey Jay, and also just for the record, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a blank check if anybody can prove you wrong.
I mean, I'm so confident that there's no way that you're going to be able to prove them wrong. Like, that's the only reason why I say it, because I know you're not going to be able to. So, but yeah, some people come in and try to spam me or just think they can solve Zodiac, and I don't expect anyone to believe me in one live, let alone rule them in, rule them out. We did over $100,000 of research. You know, I would want to wrap my mind around everything I can that's available to either piece it in or piece it out, you know, and we did all that. And I'm going off the backs as well as my wife and my other researchers, not just myself. That's how confident we are. But yeah, all my researchers that are in here, they told me if I had $1 million, I would bet all my money on it right now. That's how much I believe in this. We're not bragging. We're not trying to glorify this guy. But this guy was theatrical. We're 50, 68 years trying to catch this guy. Thousands of suspects. Nobody knows who we are until I knock on your door. And I put in the work to get that attention, to get us to where we're on this panel right now.
And I've got to, real quick, I want to acknowledge your wife. What an amazing job. You've got a great supporter there. And let me tell you, Rick, she knows the case inside and out too. I mean, just congratulations to you both. I speechless. I mean, you're connecting a lot of the dots. Rick, before he does this, what's your take? I mean, they've done their research. I mean, there's a lot of things in my mind.
Research. There's a lot of data there, but you know, there's DNA, and I sure would like to know what those DNA numbers are. That's going to be your key.
We just don't have that access.
We're hoping, I mean, maybe what we can do is start a crowdsourcing, like on their website.
For cold crimes.
For these crimes, start a crowdsource to pay for the profiling of any salvageable DNA sample that law enforcement may have within the Zodiack, but also with these other cold cases that we're connecting. Because
you voluntarily gave yours and it didn't match, right?
well, no, it's still
We haven't gotten-
Othram has not responded yet. That's the one we're banking on. To your point, we feel like
This is the one.
How long ago did you do that?
just 2 weeks ago.
No, to Othram,
Yeah.
but I did GEDmatch and other ones.
We did GEDmatch and DNAjustice.org about.
But that was over a year ago,
Yeah,
so,
a year ago.
but I should have more hits than my sister, and she got 2,
Yeah.
and then they haven't get us anything after that.
But you know.
They're
that's
not giving us nothing, they
we
just
don't
stopped
know.
it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the thing is they're not going to contact us unless they need help with the family tree or they've hit a wall.
I mean, we gave them a good amount of stuff, but we believe we're way further in connecting these other crimes.
Yeah.
Because
Is there any cold case detectives or cold case FBI agents that you're actively working with? No?
We would love to. One would be Gary Grant Jr. out of Atlantic City, New Jersey. We feel like
You really need somebody that's on the ground there in Vallejo. A New Jersey guy is not going to be able to get as much access as a local guy there in California.
oh no,
With the FBI or somebody that.
we met with the FBI in San Francisco. We met with them. We met with the FBI 3 times. We started during the pandemic with Milwaukee because Milwaukee was the only FBI field office that was taking walk-ins. So we just started with them. They sent it off to San Francisco for us, just like whatever notes we had. And this was early in our research. And then a year later, we went into Chicago because they opened up and started accepting walk-ins. And we had more information to share. And then about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we flew to San Francisco and met for over an hour and 45 minutes with the field office in person in San Francisco.
And what did they say? Did they say, thanks for coming in? It sounds real interesting. We'll call you. Is that what they said?
they said
Yeah, and they said keep giving us the information that you find, and
they encourage us
posted.
to keep giving them more.
But from a cold case standpoint, what we've got, I mean, we probably have 50 cold cases
That we can connect this guy.
that we can connect this guy. And when I said New Jersey, there's a cold case in New Jersey that I feel strongly that he could be responsible for, that we could at least close, that was from 1984. So the likelihood of getting a DNA sample to match in the 80s is probably higher than what we would find in the 60s, at least for right now, today. And I'm just hoping one of those cases can give us a break to connect.
Well, the problem you're going to run into, stuff that happened in the 60s and 70s, the problem with the evidence is it tends to go away.
Right.
It tends to get...
But, I agree to what you're saying, but I also think that if we can put them, tie him into these other crimes, I mean, I think people are going to think he's more likely to commit these other ones, basically by showing a timeline that he's there for these other ones. And the sketches and the pictures that we have from him early on,
Right.
Well, it sounds like you got a plethora of circumstantial evidence.
Right.
and
The problem you're running into is it'd be nice if you had a gun that you could match to it.
We
don't
have
a smoking
we,
gun.
we have a potential weapon. I have a lead for that. So I did say that there was a cat that was unalived on that farm, and I'm sure it was buried. And it probably got ballistics in it. He pulled a .22 rifle out. We know that's a weapon that Zodiack
Does the
used.
family still have that farm?
Right now, it's like all legal stuff going on between
With the
that.
family?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we kind of trying to stay away from that up here on the stage here.
I would look into. You've got the pieces. I would start contacting the agencies that were involved in those cases and get with their cold case people and tell them exactly what you got and where you found it. Because let me be honest with you, FBI, they're real good with statistics. They're real good with tracking phones and stuff like that. But we in the homicide business end up teaching them everything they need to know. They don't teach us anything.
I would just agree with that.
And I think, and these three guys here will tell you the same thing.
We're not done. You know what I mean? We're not done, and the research is still on the table.
For sure.
And
I mean, you've come a long way, and I give you credit. You've come a long way, and you've got a lot of interesting evidence that if I was near you, I'd be sit down. All right, let's talk.
Where you at?
Right now. I'm in my cabin in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
We travel, so we like to show our receipts in person to people. So then, you know what I mean, it takes away question, but like we really have it. Like we really do have it, and I was telling you, when we met with Darlene Farron's sisters, the sister was like looking at me and she was like trying to like check my sincerity, and and she was and she by the time we're done, I felt like she was my aunt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we connected that much. We both, we both went through something, and she was so happy that we told her. She's like, and the truth is, she's been looking longer than anyone.
Well, the thing is, I mean, all these folks are going to look at you sincerely, but if you can do the same amount of sincerity with a cold case guy and sell it to an actual cold case homicide detective that is religious about doing the job, then you're head and shoulder, because at that point, whatever else they need, they're gonna sell to the local.
I totally agree, and my voice only gets bigger.
Right.
When people like you three come a part of it. So then, the credibility, and people are going to listen to you, not me. On inside, it's hard for me to do that. So I'm just saying, like, everyone's got busy lives and work and do all, and there's so much time. But for somebody like yourselves to look at it all, like my best researchers, it took them a year to lay it all out because, we have busy schedules. This is like, a hobby to check it out, And then by the time you're done, you're deep dived into this, and going, wait a second, let me look into this other area. You know what I mean? Let me, contact them for you, so.
Well,
I'm just saying, we need
a great
help.
story. It's a great story right now, and you guys have really done a lot of research.
Oh yeah.
But right now, I mean, all you got is a story. I mean, if it's going to be solved, it's got to have.
They got to be the ones to confirm it. We believe we solved it, but we need somebody to confirm it.
Right, and that's where you need the.
And that's why I'm getting the attention of the public to get to the media, because by the time you're done looking at what I have, there's no undeniable evidence that it's him.
Yeah.
So us as the people have a bigger voice to put it out there, so then we push them to look into it to make sure, because I know it's this guy.
And we believe this case is solvable from that perspective.
Right.
We believe this absolutely is. And we have enough to say it is worth it to put the resources behind this to make sure we close it for the victims.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's the thing you want to do, is you want to be able to close it and put it into the chapter of those decedents' lives, and why it occurred and how it occurred and who's responsible, and let them be able to move on with their lives.
Absolutely. We look forward to do that.
Sure.
And we've done that already with families already. The Domingos family, all that's left is a second cousin. You know what I mean?
Hey, Rick, can I step in for a minute?
Sure.
Did I understand, and this is, Jay, I'm blown away at the research. Rick, did I understand, if you were there helping solve this crime or put the dots together, you would start with the victims and you would go to each agency of where those investigations are housed and get with that cold case agent or detective from each agency to pitch this, right?
Yep. And the big thing now is it's predominantly, we're Florida guys. And a lot of the departments in Florida are having retired homicide guys come in and look at their cold cases. And depending on, wherever these are throughout the country, you may have the same situation where you've got retired homicide guys coming in and volunteering their time to be the cold case guys. And they're doing a lot of good work, I can say, in the Central Florida area, solving old cold cases like this.
Right.
So
Great advice.
I would sit down and I would write out every jurisdiction where all these cases took place, and then just start making phone calls. Say, do you have a cold case unit?
I'll be honest with you. We've already started doing that.
Good.
So that's definitely in the works. It's just, I feel like we need more people to back that up.
I think your best, it's great to go talk to the FBI, but a lot of times, and I will tell you, after 30 years, now close to 40 years, because I just left the state, talking to an FBI agent is like they smile a lot and they shake their head a lot and go, wow, that's really cool.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
ZodiackKillerBomb.com, not ZodiackBomb.com. ZodiackKillerBomb.com is the website, and we have a Facebook group, which is called Zodiack Killer and Me with the ampersand symbol. Zodiack Killer and sign me. It's a private group. You can go through it and see all our evidence that we put in real time as we did it. We cracked a cipher. We put all types of stuff in there.
And Alondra, if somebody could put that in there, Alondra, let's pin that so everyone can find that website, please. I think Alondra's here.
I'm curious. Early on we talked about the card that he wrote, and then the writing on the picture that's removed about that stuff. I've got a good friend of mine. Where are you guys at?
Wherever you want us to be.
Are you in? What state are you in?
We're between two states, Illinois and Wisconsin.
Okay. I've got a good friend of mine that used to be the director of the Michigan State Police Crime Lab. And he's a handwriting expert.
That's great. Here's what else I got for you. We have his original typewriter with original ribbon in it, which we believe is
Is it a Royal typewriter?
Everybody's got it wrong.
It's a Smith Corona.
It's a Smith Corona electric.
Yeah. It is military issued.
And it's military issued, so it's going to be the one.
Well, we'll see we want to know what the ribbon says.
Yeah, we believe that ribbon can be tested to see what was typed on it.
We also have hair samples.
And we got hair samples.
Because we have his hat from when he was a security guard after he had retired from the military. We can get physical evidence as long as the labs are ready for it to match it up.
Oh yeah.
Well,
We just
need a cold case guy.
Yep.
Or two, or three, or a dozen, depending on the jurisdiction you're dealing with.
Well,
We need like 50, but
I agree.
we can do this.
Yeah, we're excited to make that happen.
Now, let me get a cord. My phone is just said low battery.
Oh. Hey, Rick, by the way, Rick, I don't feel sorry for you.
Please
Sitting on your porch,
message each other.
sitting on your porch in the mountains.
Yeah, I hear you.
Lucky dog. Steve Strickland, while we're on a little pause, we heard, I think you were in here one night when Jay was in. We kind of heard and we kind of flipped through the next case, but what's your take?
Yeah, it's all compelling. like Rick said, though, I mean, it's, at this point, the move is to get some of these cold case guys to get in there and just really dig into everything you've got. You get with those guys and put it in front of them, let them do their work. And I get it, some of that stuff is costly. But you might find those guys out there that are willing to run with it. And, yeah, and then hopefully circumstantial becomes more solid, and then, everything kind of.
Yeah, we're batting like 5,000 for 5,000 on circumstantial.
And you guys are, am I correct in saying that you're attending CrimeCon?
That's correct. We got approved for a exhibitor's table, so I plan on going live those 3 days.
Right.
I hope everyone can join me and have a good time, and maybe I think we'll get enough attention where people are going to make their way over there to us. I'm going to get hopefully a 6-foot cutout of him with a green shirt and brown pants behind me. So we're trying to get people's attention, and like I was saying, he was theatrical. Now that we've kind of figured him out, gotten his head, he was being very theatrical, and you just couldn't understand that until you knew who he was. So I felt that I need to be theatrical to get your attention. So that's why I put my face behind his. I'm like, there's a Freddy Krueger and a Jason and Michael Myers, but there's no Zodiack Killer on here, and we're the only ones that been doing that. And I try to get people, because everyone's different types of thinkers. Not everyone can collaborate together, but not everybody's ready for this. Not everybody's ready for this because it's very complicated, and if you don't take your time, and honestly, and you're lazy and you don't want to look at the research, then you're denying yourself of the information and denying yourself of knowing why we're here. You know what I mean? Not just what we're doing.
Hey Jay, real quick, in community, follow Jay Crime now if you haven't. And Jay, you have some teammates in here. Call them out so we can get those folks followed as well to stay on top of this case. Who's in here, Jay? It's Rick.
Rick McBain is jumped on our team first. I mean, we really felt each other out. He really felt me out. He's from California. He knows the case. He was in the Navy. He was part of a lot of different things. I would actually recommend that you pull him up, or even pull up Voices for Victims up here to give you kind of the skip of what they're doing and what they did to get us where we're at and their story. I would love if you wanted to do that, Jamie.
As I do that, Rick, you ready to get your mind blown away?
Yeah.
Jay, you know what I'm wanting.
Now, here's the thing. I know what you want, and I always want to give people what they want. But I cannot do it
Okay.
unless we are co-hosting, because then I don't get all the little stuff. The only way is that we co-host. I go live, and then we have to co-host. You have to send me a request to co-host. Then I could do with you at any time. We don't have to do it now.
Okay.
But whenever you want to, we can get to the point where we can co-host. I'll come back, and then
Okay.
I can drop that for you.
Yeah, definitely. I'll try to find a picture or maybe take a screenshot of you doing that. Because Rick, I'm telling you, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is weird.
Okay, so I know I got one in here, and I can show you guys my face behind his face. I mean, my face is behind his face on this. So when I get to it, but we can continue till I get to it.
Well, while you're looking at that, talk about the theory on the witnesses, the Robbins kids. They were looking down from their upstairs apartment.
Oh, thank
And
you.
so that's kind of why the
Yeah, so I figured this out, okay? Like, I'm good with puzzles and riddles, and even Rick, and everybody knows this, okay? And I'll give you a real sample, just kind of wrap your mind around my brain, okay? With puzzles. I met wife and her brother's grade school friends. He was moving away, so he was throwing a party, a go-away party, and I was sitting on the couch, and he handed me a box, and he said, this took me like weeks to figure out, and all his friends, big diverse friends, and amount of diverse friends, and they're like, it took us forever. So by the time he handed it to me, turned around, I said, here, and he turned around, and I unpuzzled it. That's how fast I did it. So I'm not bragging, I can just do that.
Hey, Rick McBain brought you up. Welcome. You've answered a lot of questions in the chat, Rick. We appreciate you. How are you?
Good evening, thank you. Just appreciate you guys listening to our story. We do have a lot of evidence. We didn't even touch over the cases where the descriptions and our sketches match either his grandfather or the Zodiac style MO.
Yeah, you know what, Rick? Why don't you, talk about how you became part of this case and the things that you brought to the table for us.
So I was stationed in San Diego, and I was always interested in Zodiac, being from California. And I remember hearing, about the swindle case. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. The Navy sailor. They've always believed it's Zodiac. And me being a sailor, I'm like, man, it's got to be Zodiac's got to be a Navy sailor. Even before I met Jay Crane, I've been saying this for like decades now. And and then you always talk about the Navy wing walkers, the Domingos Edwards case where the Zodiac bought the ammo on a military base, but you have to be active duty or retired to purchase ammo. Those are key factors. And then when I started looking at the timeline, I was like, okay, where's the Navy record? So I started writing this timeline down. Then I matched with every case that we found or were known Zodiac, and we couldn't find a hole. Every case, the dates match up, guys. Every single case. Even if you don't believe the other earlier cases are him, maybe or maybe not, but they all match one person. They all match brown hair with reddish tint. They match horn-rimmed glasses. And then the sketches. Jay Crumb didn't show you guys the earlier pre-Zodiac sketches that match his grandfather in his sailor outfit at that time. Now, mind you, all these cases are right near naval air stations. Point Mugu, Naval Air Station Moore, San Diego Navy Base. And then you have two older brothers that were stationed in San Diego, and I'm a genealogist, I found proof of this. They were stationed at Camp Pendleton, which is where the Ray Davis case happened, the cab driver, the first one. And then the sailor, the Navy sailor swindle, was gunned down from Ocean Beach up on the hill, the 22. And then there's two cases that I've highlighted in my TikTok. If you guys want to go look at them, I'm trying to pull up my computer. I don't think I can pull it up in time, but there's two cases where somebody said something. So the first case was the Carola Hardtalk case in 1957. The guy wrote a cryptic message that sounds like Zodiac. He said, I'm the guy that killed the woman on the beach last year, and I'll do it again and again. And then you got the three girls in the Ventura and Lancaster area of Southern California in 61 to 62. A Navy sailor acted suspicious on a flight from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. A stewardess went back to his seat after he got off in Las Vegas and said that he tore out the girls' pictures and there was a cryptic note written on there. And it has something to do with, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm getting away, I'm getting to know, fasten your seatbelt, basically you're going for a ride. I mean, it totally sounds like Zodiac, but no one's ever found these cases. Even law enforcement in the newspaper wrote that they believe the three girls' cases were all connected. So, and a lot of them had, a lot of the earlier cases we found were more of jabbings with the knife, and some were on a beach. But we got a case for every year, and it only spans for about 30 days within a year. Like, so one time a year, and then in 61, he does it like twice. And then 62, he does it twice, which is Ray Davis and the other girl. And then after that, he does 63, 69, we have attempted abduction, where it's a Zodiac-style case. He taps on one of the flashlight and puts a gun to him, and he doesn't do nothing. This was in Santa Cruz, I think it was, 59, J-Crime? But all these cases, descriptions, everything matches his grandfather. One man. Not 25 different men, doesn't match anyone else, matches him.
And Rick, talk about that, the one where he abducted that couple and then let them go. That was at Saratoga.
Saratoga, that's the one in Santa Cruz. Yeah, it's by Santa Cruz. That's what I was talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Attempted abduction.
Is that the one where
And
the guy
the
said
sketch-
he was
the
an escape
sketch-
prisoner was just trying to steal a car?
No, that was a known Zodiac crime. This is a pre-Zodiac crime.
Okay.
Pre-Zodiac. We have cases that, even if you don't believe us on his grandfather, like the DNA doesn't say it's him, we found pre-cases we believe are Zodiac. And it's going to point to the one man. The fact that they're pointing to one time a year kind of and near a naval air station kind of makes it even more so that it's his grandfather to me. Because all the other suspects, why are they down in San Diego? Like, you're not in the Navy. Even the one girl that was unalived in Ventura, she had a connection to being in the Navy base in San Diego, minus the sailor story from the stewardess. So there was tons of links pointing to a military person with aviation background. Even the radians, his grandfather knew about radians. The Zodiac talked about radians, which there's a lot of stuff talked about on the Zodiac groups right now about radians. They're going crazy with that with AI, but
Yeah, and then some people don't know that, you know, like these mechanics in the Navy, they're proctor, what is it called? It's like that scales and tells you the distance.
Oh, protractor?
The protractor, thank you. The protractor, I forgot what it was called, but it's different where it shows this distance in the speed opposed to being, you know.
Well, and he was being a mechanic, an airplane mechanic. It's not just the engine, it's the structure. It's the outside skin of the plane. So he was a welder, which could have been influenced for Lake Berryessa hood, the welding hood.
Right, we believe that hood, yeah.
Blueprinting and drafting, you know, and we know that the letters or the ciphers were on drafting paper. There's tons of clues. Mount Diablo is the central naval communication hub for celestial navigation. And the Zodiac Watch was not just for deep sea diving, like in Arthur Lee Allen's case, but it's also for aviation and navigating a plane, right? So, again, a lot of these clues point not just to him, but then we tie in the timeline that ties in LD along with his occupation and what influences him in his life and his behaviors and all of it. Now, those earlier crimes that Rick talked about was prior to when LD was stationed in the Bay. But I believe once Zodiac comes to light, right, he introduces himself as Zodiac. He is a seasoned unaliver, mid-30s, and he knows what he's doing. So you kind of see this some of the immature activity in Southern California, where he's in the helicopter squadron, he's in a training squadron. He was involved in the Bay of Pigs, he was involved in Korea, and he was involved all in Vietnam.
Cuba crisis.
Yeah, the Cuban Missile Crisis. There are Zodiac letters that talk about Nike missile sites.
Yeah, and he was being on the Scorpion Squadron. Now, with the Kathleen, going back to the Kathleen John case, so it was 10 o'clock at night, and in 2 hours it would be his ex-wife's birthday.
Hey, let's pause for a minute. I brought Leslie up. Leslie, do you have some questions? Do you have some comments? Leslie, this is some mind-blowing data.
Yeah, it is. So, hey, Jay, did you talk about the 22 connection?
I think that's where Voices needs to come in for that connection.
All right. Okay.
That's her thing.
Well, she asked the question. That's why I came up. I wanted to ask because so I know you and I had talked. I told Voices or Rick can even remember we talked about him possibly going international.
Right.
We did get him doing with all the tours, the Mediterranean. He was in Carnes, France. I mean, he was European tour, right? He was all over the world. We believe that.
Right.
Whatever chance, opportunity he took, he did it.
Yeah. So when you I had said before, once I get the dates where he was actually on land, give them to me, and I'll start searching internationally.
Yeah, I just gave my passport, so that's so I'm ready to go across the country.
Jay Crown,
I mean, at least we could try and find it on paper first, you know. I mean,
Jay Crown,
on the internet.
can you show the picture of your grandfather side by side of the sketch when he was younger? of the earlier sketches from I think it was the
I
61
could do
case.
that. So give me one moment, guys. All right, I could do that with this, but I can't do it behind the screen. They don't allow you to do it, but I can do the hand. So just give me a second. Absolutely.
Tell me about the scars on the forehead. Because everybody's talked about those.
Strickland, I think we need
So
a drum roll.
Try to pull it up. I think he had a scar or something on the top, and we believe he got it from jumping off the Enterprise.
Okay.
But it's not prominent in some of the pictures, but there was one picture where you could kind of see it. And we have medical records when he was on the Enterprise.
All right, so to go into what Rick's saying, I was trying to say it. So the Domingos Edwards, okay, they believe they fought back and injured him, okay? It didn't happen on the Enterprise. What happened was, we believe it happened from the Domingos Edwards, because in his military records, just after that incident of Domingo Edwards, he comes up with an injury on his forehead that doesn't describe how it happened in the military, so we assume it happened outside of what. So that's when he ended up getting that injury. So in his military records, his medical records show it. Now, the picture that I had popped up on my smart screen before, this half of my grandfather's boot camp picture, and the other half is an earlier crime sketch cut in half. I'll show you more. Like, there's so many more, you know. You guys want to see more?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's go. All right, give me a second. Let me get them.
Yeah, and while you're looking at that, we had a researcher join us. He's been researching the Zodiack case for over 25 years.
I don't know if they can hear us. Can you guys hear us still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I don't know if it might cut you off when I go look for a picture.
Has any national media talked to you?
No, we're trying to get someone to just listen to us. No one will listen to us. Even with all this, like you said, plethora of evidence that we feel kind of connect the dots.
Well, I reached out. Okay, so I reached out to a local guy here in ABC. Jay Crime and I, we only live a half hour from each other. We're practically neighbors. So I reached out to a local guy, Chuck Gowdy for NBC News. He emailed me, and because I was trying to get one of the investigative news people on, so I gave Jay Crime his email, and he's aware of Jay Crime's website and everything. So I'm not sure if he's had a chance to reach out to him yet.
How about try? It seems like Ashley Banfield would want to jump on this.
Yeah, or Nancy Grace. We're hoping to catch their attention at CrimeCon. They'll all be at crime.
Here's another sketch. It's not Zodiac, but it looks like my grandfather. I mean, we got 10 of them.
That looks like his boot camp.
Hey, voices.
Hey.
Hey, welcome.
You know voices, right, Jamie?
Yes, welcome up. How are you, lady?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jamie?
We're doing fine now that you're here. You're like you're going to be the star for the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Put it on us.
Okay.
Yeah, voices. If you could explain to everyone how you ended up on my team, what you did prior and before you met me, and up to this point.
Okay. I do missing cases, and he come knocking on my door one day, and he was like, "Hey, I see you do like cold cases and missing people and stuff." He said, "I believe my grandfather's the Zodiac," and this is before we had done all this research that we had we've done. I mean, they had been doing research, but I hadn't, and neither had Rick. And he was like, would you take a look at my stuff? My first response in my head was, not another my grandfather's the Zodiac. So I said, I did, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's your granddaddy.
And I said, okay, I'll take a look at it. Well, behind his back, I was trying to debunk him. I was trying to prove him wrong, that his grandfather wasn't the Zodiac. But the more I investigated this man, the more clues that I found that tied his grandfather into being this. I don't even know how to explain him, because he was.
Can you explain the 22, and then also because of your connection that you made to the 22, and go over the cases that you've been really feel that they're going to be the ones that going to tie this whole thing together?
Yes. The 22 connection is, we was on live one night. J Crown has, I think it's 7 or 8 pictures that's got a handwritten 22 on the back of them. And I was like, what is it with him and 22? We know Zodiac liked a 22. And but I said, there's something else. So I found that in the Navy, there is I wish I had my notes over there. There is a plane that's got 22 on it that carried airmail to sea. J. Crime's grandfather did carry airmail to sea. Then we found out that his first wife divorced him. She was age 22. When he married his second wife, she was age 22. A lot of the victims were age 22. There's also going into Circleville to the police station, that's Route 22. There's a lot of 22 connections in this case. And like I said, J. Crime can show you the pictures one day. And the twos is just made so crazy that it's like a 2, but it's like a backward Z.
And then you're the one that connected this one with the pollen.
Tammy Jo, out of New Jersey. I connected her. I've also connected several other cases to this man that we believe that he is responsible for. I've even connected cases that we haven't even talked about publicly, because I want to dig deeper into these cases. I want to confirm it because I stand on truth. I don't believe in coincidences, and I stand on the truth. And I want to make sure that my work is accurate. I don't put it out there unless I know it's 100%.
And just so everyone knows, again, Voices is an advocate for the missing. She's a certified advocate for missing people. She's been working, and she's put a lot of answers and did a lot of stuff in the background with families and stuff like that. And I felt that there's a lot of missing people, and when we got with Darlene Farron family, we thought that it would be best to have an advocate. And plus, she does such great work in the true crime community in helping separate, truth and fiction. You know what I mean? So we're very happy to have her with us. Rick and Voices taking them to CrimeCon with us. But as far as back as that connection with the few cases that you started off with, Voices.
During your FOIA request, have you been able to get any of at least the initial incident reports?
The incident report on the ship?
On any of them?
No incident reports.
On the crimes?
Right.
On the crimes.
I mean, some of it's loaded online for the Zodiac cases, but not some of these other cold cases that we've tried, not yet.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff from 54 to 65, which we believe he was doing stuff, it's not digitalized, and we need a lot of footwork to go
Well,
through.
usually what they do with those, they put them in off-site storage. And then they slowly start, what they're trying to do now is, they're slowly trying to digitize all of those, all the agencies, at least as far as NICAP goes, which is the national, it's the old VICAP system. Or not VICAP, it is part of VICAP.
I understand the record.
Digitize all those old police reports so that they're digitized and they can go straight in for the cold case investigators to look at. It would be nice to see if you could get most agencies on the investigative reports that the investigator does after the initial report is done. They kind of keep those close because they still consider it an open case. But a lot of times you can at least get the initial officer that arrived on the scene, the preliminary report that gives you a lot of data. And then some of these agencies, since the case is so old and based on who you are and what you're coming up with, may give you some more leeway on getting, investigators' reports. You're not going to get notes and stuff like that, but you could get whatever investigative report that has been written to date.
As it was said earlier about having a big news investigation reporters, whatever, that dig deep in here, that's what we really need. We need that in a team of people to put together to really dig into this.
To work with an investigator out of New York on Tammy's case.
They haven't called us back yet.
I know they haven't, but I'm going to call him back. I'm not going to wait on his call. I'm going to call him back.
Well, that's
really,
the squeaky wheel. You need to be the squeaky wheel.
yeah, I'm going to be the squeaky wheel because I want this case solved. I want these families to have closure. That's what I'm here for. Closure for these families. It's been 58 plus years that some of these victims has waited for closures and these families have waited for closures. And there's been men convicted and put in prison over this man that has passed away in prison for crimes that they did not commit. So I really, really believe, I stand on this 100%. Like I told Jay Crime, if I was a millionaire and had $1 million, I'd lay every bit of it on his bet. His grandfather's the one that done all these crimes.
Yeah, they put hours and hours of going through stuff, finding and doing work that others don't have to do now.
Do you want to talk about our Circleville theory?
Yeah, go ahead, honey. Pull the chair up on our Circleville theory.
Oh, is she gonna talk about the pumpkin and the crosshair and the...
Oh, what's up?
We got this on the screen. Well, so through our research, and I'm also a member of the Zodiack Theory Discord group, which has about 50 other Zodiac case researchers. And I was going to say earlier, before we got cut off, that one of them is in Amsterdam and has studied this case for 25 years. And he was instrumental in putting together some of these early crimes from the 1960s that resemble LD's
But he didn't know that.
No, but he didn't know that. But he's looking at the boot camp picture that I'm uploading on that site. And he's sitting there going, out of all of these crazy suspects that come through here, this guy is the closest one to match. But with that being said, we've came across the Circleville case. I don't know if you're familiar with the Circleville letters out of Ohio. From 1974 until 1994, for 20 years, there were mysterious, taunting, threatening letters sent to the people of this small town, which was only 45 minutes away from where L.D. Hill lived when he had retired. The main road is Route 22. And unfortunately, so basically it was a school bus driver. Her husband was receiving anonymous letters saying that she was cheating with another teacher at the school and trying to cause all these issues. They were getting crank calls at the house. The letters were, the letters were postmarked out of Columbus, which is a connection to LD. Hi guys, sorry. I didn't take a bathroom break. But Circleville is very close in proximity. The letters start a year after LD moves back to his hometown, which is 45 minutes away. If you're familiar with the confession letter from Sherry Jo Bates out of Riverside, California, the typewritten letter, the envelope has these big block printed letters to the Press Enterprise and then the address. That handwriting matches the handwriting on these Circleville letters. I kid you not.
Who said that? Who said they met?
I say they match. But we can look at your, I would love to meet up with.
I'm just saying, we can, I mean, I can do it. I can look at stuff and go, oh, my kid wrote that, or, you know, but I can't testify to it.
No, we get that.
I'm not a handwriting expert, you know?
Totally agree, but there is enough for probable cause and reasonable suspicion. And I would love to have the Michigan State University handwriting analysts look at this. But with that being said, okay, the vernacular in the letters is very similar to this taunting messages that we see in the other case, in the Zodiack case. And then Circleville is basically in the shape of a circle and crosshair. And it's also known for the largest pumpkin water tower in the world. And they have a huge pumpkin fest every single year.
We connect that to the Halloween card.
Yeah, and the Halloween card showcases a pumpkin. We have some other personal connections to that too, but the proximity is peculiar in my mind to Circleville.
That's crazy.
And I think Jamie's going to agree with me, you know, based on our experience. I'm sold. And if I was the cold case guy, I'd be in a hearing after what I heard, I'd be going, yeah, when can you people be in my office?
Hey, can I jump in real quick and interrupt you guys? So I text Rick this morning. I'm like, Rick, I don't know, sometime today or this morning. Rick, need your help. We're going to be talking about a case, and I didn't really. I kind of tricked him a little bit. I didn't tell him really what it was until the 11th hour, right? And you know, this shows the credibility of who Rick is. And Rick was like, okay, let me guess, it's this guy or it's this guy or this grandfather. And Rick, you said you were burning up my text message, right? And but that's the quality of a major case homicide guy. I can tell Rick that the sky's blue and there's 7 airplanes flying to the west, and Rick will question it unless he sees the evidence. And Rick, I just when I just heard you say what you said, that speaks volumes. And Jay and your wife, Rick, and Voices for Victims, you should congratulate yourself, because Rick doesn't go with the flow. If he doesn't agree with you, he's going to say you're wrong. So, you know, I think that speaks volumes.
You know, after I've seen so much stuff on the web and, you know, who's this? You know, they say, well, it's the grandson. So, the first guy that is the suspect is the, what's his name, Ralph Lee or whatever his name is. So I'm doing research on him. He's got no kids. I'm like, okay, here comes another imposter. So, you know, it's at the point where, you know, trust but verify. I guess it's a good way to turn it. Verify it. So
I think, you know what, we're encouraged by, you know, the Ed Edwards case. You know, his daughter said for years that he was responsible for the 2 unalivings in Wisconsin when they lived there. And for years that case information wasn't public record on the internet. You know, she would check online, and then finally some things started coming out years later, and then she put 2 and 2 together. She said, my dad worked at that lodge or that banquet hall that they had disappeared from. And it was not verified until 18 years later when finally the DNA made the match. So, you know, we're encouraged by that. You know, the Unabomber, his brother recognized the handwriting, put 2 and 2 together. You know, we're here to just say, listen, there's probable cause here, there's smoke. And where there's smoke, there could be fire. So we appreciate everything that you've
You
said.
got a lot of, you got a whole lot, yeah, you got a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Yeah.
You got a plethora of reasonable suspicion.
Right.
Once you elevate it to probable cause is when physical evidence takes place. So once you get the probable cause for a judge to look at it and go, yeah, there's enough probable cause here that if this guy was still alive, we'd issue a warrant for his arrest, or state attorney be taking him to the grand jury for an indictment.
Absolutely.
But
We have more than enough. We can even borrow them to the main suspects, a couple to them, and they still don't have enough.
Hey, I want to jump in and bring Brian up. Brian's been waiting. Brian, you have a question? What's your thoughts on what Jay and his crew have presented tonight?
Well, Voices had said something earlier about people being in prison because of this man. I didn't know that. I didn't know that people, she said they actually passed away in prison. And that's something I wasn't familiar with. I'd never heard that. That kind of shocked me when I heard that, when she said that. The first half hour of me knowing Jay Crime, I was really a full believer after he showed me everything and the ship and the people that passed on the ship. And there was so much evidence. And they showed me that Halloween card with the pumpkin, trying to say who he was without coming out and saying it. I really believe that